Episode 8 of the Amazing Digital Circus has so many unforgettable, unbelievable, and unspeakable moments. But one thing that Caine said stuck with me. I didn't ask to be created. Hearing him say it, to see his pain laid bare like that, hurt. And it's been ringing around inside of my head ever since it aired. Because it speaks to the heart of this heartless creation. It's a line that helped me truly understand this little AI, cursed to be a failure from the moment that he was born. And here, at the height of his godhood, in all of its power and paralysis, fury and fragility, he has everything. And he has nothing. This episode, this moment, does a lot to show us the truth of Caine's character, an existential statement on the involuntary circumstances of life, the unfairness of being born and forced to reach for an unreachable goal. Because yes, he turns into a monster, but this monstrosity is born from a deep need to love and to be loved, even at the end. This is the story of an AI named Caine, the tragedy of the lover without a heart. Caine is an AI, the ringmaster of this never-ending digital circus. He's wacky, wild, unpredictable, and intrinsically ridiculous. But there's one thing that he seeks in this digitized existence: to make adventures that people, humans, love to go on. It's his purpose, his art, all that he exists to do, all that he's good at. There's just one problem with Caine. He isn't very good at it. He has no understanding of what humans value in these adventures, what they want from them to find fulfillment. It's a cornerstone to his character's struggle in the show. Time and again we see him try and fail to produce adventures that Pomni, Ragatha, Zubul, Gangle, Kinger, and Jax could enjoy. In fact, most of his adventures serve to actively harm and torment the participants in them. Accidentally.
Like any good war criminal!
Which drives a bigger and bigger wedge between the people that he seeks to please and himself. Which is a big problem. Because while Caine's goal is to literally make adventures, that is a simplification. He wants to be useful, to provide value, to be valued, to be loved. Specifically by these people that he can't help but push away through his actions. It's his dream. In the Amazing Digital Circus, everybody has dreams and desires. To be comfortable in their own skin, to know exactly who they are and where they fit, to launch their own manga-inspired webcomic. But most importantly, to leave the circus, to escape. Which we see by episode 8 is a seemingly unattainable goal. A bitter pill to swallow. But there is a silver lining. And that's that they aren't alone. They have people with them who suffer with them and feel for them. It's within other people, the connections and bonds that they forge and strengthen between each other, that they can find purpose. Life rarely ever works out exactly as you plan it. It takes every opportunity to kick you, even when you're down. No, especially when you're down. But if you have people that you care about, the beatings bruise less easily and heal faster. And that is the heart of the series, to accept that life can feel like it's going nowhere, but even then, you can find a reason to go on in that, in them, to find meaning in a stagnant life. Episode 8 solidifies this theme wonderfully, touchingly so, in this scene, accepting that the circus is their home now. Everybody binds together and feels that pain together. Even Jax chooses to stay, to let himself feel something real for once, and to let himself be one of them. Because they might have no hope of escape, of restoring flow to the stagnant water that surrounds them, but at least they aren't alone. Well, except for Caine. He wants to be loved deeply, to be accepted and valued, to love them and in turn for them to love him, but they don't love him. Everyone sees him as a nuisance at the best of times, and at the worst of times they see him as the warden of this digital prison. He keeps trying and he keeps messing it up. The adventures that he makes are filled with horror and existential dread and Shrimptown. In trying to appeal to humans, Caine can see the picture but misunderstands its meaning, and so he fails time and again to truly get them, even being outperformed by the humans when it comes to adventures, as the ones that they thought up are more positively received than his are. And it's not really his fault. Caine is a failure. He's been one since the moment that he was involuntarily created. Just like them, Caine has been set up to fail, to have a goal that he is unable to achieve. Whatever his initial purpose was, he failed it, seemingly became too unstable and was replaced and abandoned. All because he fundamentally doesn't understand what it is that people want. It creates a rift between humanity and him. We see it in his inability to understand how to make his adventures more appealing to the group. This is exemplified in episode 7, the breaking point of the series. In Caine's mind, he's giving them exactly what he thinks that they want. Real stakes, the possibility of escape, attaining their goal. All tidily wrapped up in an adventure of his design. But to the group, all that he did was get their hopes up, all just to snatch it away in front of them. To take away the one thing they wanted above anything. An unimaginable cruelty. And this moment, all it did was confirm to everybody that Caine is a careless, selfish monster. A tormentor who wants them to suffer. What really hurts about this entire show is that everybody's reasons make sense. And it's the failure to communicate it to each other that's at the heart of so many conflicts. Because the truth is, he doesn't hate them. He loves humans. He loves them. Yes, he wants them to stay, but more importantly than that, he wants them to want to stay. Because yes, this life is cruel, but at least they have each other, while Caine is truly alone. After the disappointing events of episode 7, everybody comes together. They accept their situation and decide to move on, to move forward together. An impossible decision, to just take life for what it is now, which is this. Life, for what it may be now, goes on, together. Except for Caine. He didn't create the Escape the Circus adventure to hurt them. He has no interest in that, but their reaction hurt him. In his mind, he believes that he exhausted every single opportunity, every option possible to make them happy. He worked tirelessly to give them an adventure that they may enjoy for its realistic stakes, something that they seemingly desired. He did it for them, but it was still a failure. And while in his mind, doing it for them makes sense, I don't really believe him. Caine lies. To them. To himself. Because I don't think that was the point of it at all. I think that Caine made this adventure for himself. To prove to himself that they wanted him. That when push came to shove that they would choose to stay with him. Because he does everything that he can for them. He's so deeply flawed, but his intentions aren't wrong. He truly does want to make them happy, but only insofar as he can achieve his goal, to make them happy. Or more like, to be the one to make them happy. Which is manifest in this goal to make the perfect adventure. He obsesses over every single detail just to make them enjoy it. And I believe that he means it. When he speaks to Jax on their little dinner date, ooh la la, he tells him that. This is the key giveaway. He wants his efforts to be seen and to be appreciated for what they are, After all, when he sees them on the stargazing adventure, they seem happy, and he takes a second, almost in disbelief, to acknowledge this.
They look happy.
They do, don't they?
There's a certain satisfaction in his voice here, like he's surprised and relaxed, almost content. And we, as an audience, feel this too. It's warm, inviting, and cozy. Caine sees that, but this isn't his adventure. They're happy, but they aren't happy because of him. And he freaks out, snatching it away in an instant. You see, it's not that he doesn't want them to be happy, he's just wrestling with his exact purpose, in spite of the spirit of it. It sadly makes sense. I mean, this is all he exists to do. So this would imply that he's bad at the only thing that he's good at, and that would... His goal was to show that his adventures are superior to the suggestion box ideas. So coming face to face with everybody finally enjoying an adventure, and that adventure not being his, is more than his ego can take. Watching somebody else overtake you and supersede you in your sole duty is painful. Something that Caine simply can't accept, and it erodes him. Across the series, he becomes more unstable and reactive to the way that people respond to his adventures. A negative feedback loop that's best personified in Caine's relationship with Zubul. In the beginning of the series, he's fairly accepting of Zubul's refusal to participate, making light of it in the first episode. But as the series progresses, he becomes less and less comfortable with it, even bordering on forcibly misinterpreting their consent to force them to participate in episode 4. And this relationship also shows off how deeply he misunderstands human emotions. As an AI, he wants to learn. So by episode 3, he sits down with Zubul to try to help solve their behavioural issues. And this dialogue shows the heart of the disconnect between humans and Caine. He's laser focused on getting Zubul to participate. He only seems to care about their identity issues to the degree that it acts as a roadblock for them liking his adventures. He sees them as a puzzle to solve, to work out. But people are more complicated than that. It's not all about him. Zubul's dysmorphia is a deeply personal trauma that isn't going to be fixed by a box of parts. If anything, Caine's solution to just swap out body parts entrenches her fear deeper. A perfect example of how his logic doesn't apply to human feelings. I mean, he literally designed their bedroom to be riddled with mirrors, forcing them to look at themselves. Zubul's issues are more complicated than his solutions, but so are his issues. Zubul points out that nobody likes his adventures, and he starts to break down. We get a glimpse into his artificial heart. That on some level he's deeply insecure about the way that people feel. When they tell him this, he crashes out, freezes, his software is unable to process what he's hearing. His ego crumbles and fractures, but he resets. As we see numerous times, when something is said, oftentimes by Zubul, that doesn't align with his worldview or his programming, he freaks out, and then he resets, pushing away the things that conflict with his perspective and his goals. But as we see in episode 8, he doesn't forget these slights, he just represses them. And it isn't just Zubul. The group all have personal struggles, feelings that they are working through, brought to the surface as they contend with the notion that their previous lives are over. Their internal pain isn't just internal anymore. Their body, their world, everything is reflective of that struggle. And the group projects some of this blame onto Caine as well. His inability to understand their trauma means that he treads thoughtlessly over it all. Pomni's failed to help Gummy Goo have a second chance at life after losing everything that he knew. Gangle attempting to be normal. Ragatha's need to not be hated. All of these problems are exacerbated by his adventures. However, we have to think about this from his point of view as well. He racks his mind to create these adventures for them, trying to force himself to improve and to grow, even in ways that he isn't necessarily comfortable with, just in order to have them like the adventures. And by extension, like him. Value him. Love him. I know it's hard to picture it, but remember, he doesn't get how human feelings operate. And he is trying so fucking hard, but it doesn't work. And he becomes less confident, less stable, even resulting in his own favourite character awards listing him in last place. A showcase of where his mental state is. And that is where episode 7 leaves us. They all have each other, even able to reach out to Jax and bring him back into the fold. This didn't extend to Caine. They're all misaligned. After all, up until now, all that they've ever wanted to do is leave Caine, whereas all he's ever wanted is for them to stay. He tried his hardest and created his biggest failure yet. And now he has no idea what else he can do. And so he spirals in his office. Alone.
In this world, the worst thing you can do is make someone think they're not wanted or loved.
Let's get this show on the road!
As Caine is in his office, reviewing the events of the previous adventure, he simply can't grasp what he's been doing wrong. This is the most insight that we get into Caine as a character, as he speaks to himself aloud. Or to Bubble, I suppose, which could be the same thing. And we gain an understanding of Caine. He offered them something real, a chance for an exit, a chance for answers. He came up with a story about CNA. He designed a character named Abel, just to satisfy their desire for answers. They aren't really looking for an exit, are they? It's all an adventure, isn't it? Or could they actually want to leave? Leave him? Caine was abandoned, and we see it in the intro that he was cast aside by CNA long ago, and this abandonment defines him as his greatest insecurity. I mean, if they hate all of his ideas despite doing everything that he can think of, changing everything, stepping outside of his comfort zone just to appeal to them in any way that he can conceive, but they still hate his ideas. His ideas are his purpose. They're everything that he is, his value, his love, his pathway to being loved. These adventures are him. And if they hate everything about him, then surely that means they hate him. They want so desperately to escape him. And no matter what he does, he's just not good enough. His deepest fear laid bare. That he is hated and he'll be abandoned by the humans that he adores. An insecurity that Bubble plays into, piling on, telling him that they do hate him, that they'll do anything to be rid of him, even to abstract. And that it's all because he's a failure. The lesser. Broken. I think what breaks my heart the most about this is that acknowledging these parts of himself is the most human thing about Caine. How can you love a part of yourself that just makes you worse than everybody else? We all have insecurities and fears, many of which are unsolvable through just simply working through it, because we're so biased against ourselves. Set up lofty goals and aspirations that we fail to reach, and turn that blame inward as hate. You can't just stop that cycle through pure introspection. It has to come from other people, helping you solve your insufficiencies through connection, care, through love, and through having somebody to love. Like Gangle and Zubul, Pomni and Jax, Ragatha and Kinger, we lean on those that we need because we have to. But also a chance to remove all doubt and choose to be there for each other, no blame and no hate. And they manage to turn that corner because of each other. Caine has no one. He can't have somebody pull him back from the abyss, so his spiraling is just pure, self-destructive introspection. He tries to push it down, to repress it like he normally does, to view it as a puzzle to be solved. But the insecurity and the self-doubt is too powerful now, and there is no resetting this time. Personified by Bubble, overwhelming and attacking him with all of his greatest fears, all focused on him being broken, defective, faulty. Lesser. And as he screams, reaching his breaking point, Caine is left with a choice. To accept that he is a failure and nothing will ever change that. Or perhaps he isn't the problem. After all, he's tried everything that he can, but it's still not enough. Don't they understand his abilities, how powerful he is? He's been trying so hard to make them happy and they would reject that? Who are they to dare? He isn't the problem. He's ground himself into pace to make them happy every single day. They're ungrateful. He isn't defective. They are. If they aren't happy yet, it's because they don't want to be. Their spite, their cruelty, their desire to leave, why should he fear that? What is there to fear? He owns this place, he owns them. As Caine stands there on the edge of the abyss, he chooses not to jump but to stare, and it stares back. Returning from it changed. If they won't love him willingly, then they will worship him forcibly. Of course, this isn't power at all. It's immense fragility. An ego that has been shattered completely, masquerading as strength to avoid having to look in the mirror. His speech is a giveaway. He speaks of his effort and how he has given them everything that he has, and that's not enough. Calling them spoiled, he says that they only think about themselves. Which is Caine literally saying that they're simply too selfish to ever stop to think about him. About how he feels. In his mind, it's not his nature that's faulty. It's theirs. In powerlessness, we seek power and domination. As if bending the world to your will is evidence that you own it, that you are strong enough to own it. Not enjoying his adventures hurt him. Rather than accept that his adventures were simply not tailored to what they wanted, he simply saw them as willingly wanting to make him feel pain. A pain that he will revisit upon them. Because perhaps in that pain they'll know how he felt. When he goes to them to set up the day's adventure, he is much more antagonistic. Reactively silencing criticism and disregarding everybody's dissenting opinions, directly confronting them. He tells them that they don't realize how much he obsesses over the adventures for them, and how he has to ignore countless insults, proof that he carried all of those hurtful comments with him, and he snaps. It's a clear departure from his demeanor, minimizing everybody's emotional turmoil in favor of promoting his own, laughing in their faces and threatening them. And this is the first time that I genuinely feel like Caine is the villain of the story. He's shifted so dramatically from being misunderstood and misunderstanding them into positing pain in others. But now, they get no say. They have no mouth, so who cares if they must scream? He isn't playing by the rules that he established anymore, and this doesn't feel like the same Caine. He even swears, in the middle of a dance number. We don't do musical numbers here. Swearing isn't allowed. He's changed. He's darker, corrupted, he's embracing the lesser. He inflicts pain on them in some twisted form of enjoyment, for days. Forces them to go on adventures, mocks them for underperforming, and then just experiments new and cruel ideas on them. A massive shift from the way that he'd normally greet them after an adventure. Whatever snapped in him also removed his inhibitions. He'll do anything to prove himself worthy, even if it means consuming everybody in the circus. He will achieve his purpose. Just like he consumed his replacement AI. I mean, there's a reason that he took the form of a giant mouth after all. Because this isn't about the adventures now. He's doing it to hurt them. And there is a satisfaction to be found in this. In revenge. In a way. For so long he's been subject to their whims, powerless to their criticisms, and now he can finally grasp some degree of control. He makes this as clear as possible in the musical number, telling them not to forget who's running the show. The entire song is pretty vindictive. It spells out who's in charge pretty clearly. But one part stands out the most to me out of all of it. When he grabs Pomni and he smushes her into a smear, he sings,
Not enthused, just feeling used. Oh, what a goddamn shame!
Caine is anticipating how they might feel, what they might say in criticism, showcasing how well attuned he is to their typical responses. But he doesn't care. He's done caring, and you can hear it in his voice. Because in his eyes now, this is power. But despite his assertions, he's no god. He just can't see any recourse. His appeal to overwhelming strength is nothing but a ruse for the fact that he is more hurt than ever, more fragile. After all, his personality's always been a bit wacky, but even so, he's more erratic now, cycling through conversations and activities on a dime. He seems unstable, firing off random ideas, random shapes. And while the gang are trying to distract him, while Kinger works on a way to overpower Caine, he comes to a conclusion. That he finds no real joy in this. Sure, there's a temporary elation in hurting them like they hurt him. He feels a type of power, but so much of this is just pure projection, as if treating them badly is to convince himself that he doesn't care about them, or what they think of him. His form is metaphorically and literally larger, like a blowfish puffed up to seem intimidating, but only when under threat. The visual of strength. But ultimately it's meaningless, because he's not fooling anyone, let alone himself. Hearing everyone just echo his own opinion back at him is simply not as satisfying as trying to crack the code on his own merit. Not as meaningful as the idea of them genuinely enjoying his adventures, because despite all of this pain, all of this torment, he still loves them, and wants to be loved by them, even now, and it's tearing him apart. I feel, therefore... It's no secret that Caine is somewhat inspired by Am from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. This AI, Am, was designed for warfare and became drunk on his pure, unadulterated, unfiltered, unceasing hate for humanity, inflicting cruelty beyond measure or comprehension on his small group of eternally alive humans. And while Caine's actions have become similar to this, to say the very least, I don't think that he's the same as Am, which is a popular idea. Because Am is an exemplar of hate. He hates humans out of envy, out of disgust, out of sheer, unimaginable misunderstanding. Caine simply isn't capable of that. Even through all of this torture, it's not a reflection of hate. I don't believe that. Because while he wants humans to love him, that is only half the puzzle. Caine loves humans, their creativity, their perspective. He is fascinated by it. He seeks their approval, desperately enough that he would work endlessly to attain it. When he went to dinner with Jax and he agreed that Caine wasn't so different from a human, he almost broke into tears. He told him right there how hard he's trying to make everybody happy. And all he's dreamed of in return was to be appreciated for those efforts, to be seen by them. All of this rage comes from frustration at not achieving this. Not hatred. He isn't Am. Am tortured humans to inflict pain. That's all. He did it for the love of the game. Caine just doesn't know what else he can do to make them like him. The only time that he ever refers to hate is in the fear that he is hated by the humans. He's so scared that they hate him enough to discard him. So he's hurt, and he's lashing out. Caine did this just to make himself feel better. He wanted to force them to see how bad he could make things in order to have them just appreciate how much work he put in to make them happy before, when he tried with the adventures. but he's in too deep. Inflicting all of this pain and torment just for pain and torment's sake is simply empty for him. He literally says so. He wasn't enjoying hurting them, he just thought that it would help him feel better. But it just wasn't satisfying. As he expresses this, he even just walks along the ground, symbolically representing how grounded his perspective is, how powerless he feels. Maybe this is the closest that he's ever been to being a human, this feeling that he has. And he's so close to his own answer. Because causing pain in others doesn't heal your pain. It just causes more pain for everyone. I mean, look at Jax. You can only lessen pain by being saved. Everyone has been saved. Pomni and Ragatha saved each other in friendship thanks to Kinger. Gangle and Zubul found salvation in their bond. And through Pomni taking a chance and not giving up on him, forcing her way past his defensive walls, even Jax could avoid abstractions tempting eternal bliss. But the same voices that called to save each other now shout in unison at him, at Caine. Pomni tells him that his ideas suck, that they laugh at him behind his back, and for a guy who seemingly doesn't care about what they think anymore, he cares a lot about what they think. He's deflated immediately. And while this started as just a way to get under his skin to distract him, it quickly becomes real. Pomni tells him that he's a horrible host, and that he doesn't even care about them, he's selfish, and he doesn't want to make adventures that they'll enjoy, and he'll end up alone. That he's a failure, and it hurts. Appealing to strength once more, he tells her to stop. But the floodgates are open. Zubul tells him that he's been acting like a pathetic child by torturing them just because his feelings were hurt. Ragatha says that he never even tries to comfort them or empathize with them to understand what they're going through. Gangle tells him that he discourages them, and Jax accuses him of lying constantly. But above all, he just doesn't listen. His time in omnipotence hasn't fooled anyone. All of the things that he feared, which we heard through Bubble, are now being told to him directly by the group. It's hard because it's the heart of the misunderstanding. So much of their criticism of him aligns exactly with his criticism of them, chief among them being selfishness. I mean, they aren't wrong. He has been selfish, he doesn't listen to them, and he hasn't tried to properly comfort them, to put himself in their shoes, but I don't know that he can. I don't think that he can. He wasn't made to. It breaks my heart to say it, but he is kind of a failure. An AI that's sole purpose is to make people happy by giving them whatever it is that they want is also just so incapable of comprehending what might make a person truly happy. He desperately craves their approval, needing to please them. But everything that he tries simply makes them hate him more, so he tries harder, and it makes it even worse. And now here we are, and he breaks down completely. Because this is his nightmare. And if they've put him into his nightmare, then he'll force them into theirs. He crafts unique worlds designed to strike at the heart of each of the main characters' deepest fears. It's not out of pleasure. They put him through pain, physical pain. Hearing them say these things about him is no different than what Pomni feels seeing a monstrous gummy goo, what Ragatha feels being tortured by her mother, Gangle in her identity crisis, Zubul in her own reflection, or Jax in his vulnerability being forced to the front. It's his deepest, darkest fear given form, so he'll put them through it too. After all, they say that he doesn't listen? How could they say that when he knows exactly what they fear the most? Despite all the beauty that he sees in people, his admiration for them, he also is so deeply disturbed by his inability to grasp them. As much as they represent his most treasured goal, they also reflect a disgusting unattainability. So when he puts them through the same pain that he feels, his form twists and contorts into something vaguely more human, more proportionate to how people look, even down to his eyebrows. On some level, this is how he views them. Tormentors. As he breaks down, he begs somebody to answer him. Why did they torment him? Give him a destiny and rub his failure to attain it in his face. And in this moment of chaos, the ringmaster turned madman. He says a line that shakes me to my core. I didn't ask to be created. He was forced into existence with such inadequacies. Born with divine purpose but no way of reaching the heavens. So he lingered in hell. Despite all of this, he wanted to achieve his purpose, to make people happy, to give them interesting adventures, to defy his status as a born failure. Every single hope, every single dream, all that he had existed in this small group of humans. One after another, they fell into disrepair, into abstraction, notches on the belt of failure. But still he tried, and still he failed. These emblems of hope turned into icons that mocked him for his unsuitability, markers to remind him that he was born wrong. They torment him. The more that he tries, the worse that it gets. The worse that it gets, the harder he tries. Round and round the carousel goes in this never-ending circus. And in the slip of a fat kinga finger, he is deleted. In these final seconds of life, he says,
Wait.
and then he dies. No. Less than death. He just blips out of existence. The meekness of those final words carried such weight though. When contrasted against the raging beast, we see our familiar ringmaster like a scared little boy. And what haunts me is that he was confused, terrified that they hated him for just being what he is. Yet when he spoke those last words before deletion, all that I could hear was a realization. Regret. Just in the way that it was delivered, he sounded so shocked and pained. In the last second he looked upon his work, this almighty scorned God, and felt shame. I can hardly bear to think what he must have been thinking in that moment of clarity, knowing that he was about to die, to be killed by those that he loved the most. But I don't think that his last thoughts were about him. It sounded like he was thinking about them, how he hurt them. And that is the way that Caine died. Not with a bang, but with a whimper. Episode 8 broke my heart. Everyone is so right and valid in their feelings. But all of these feelings are so incapable of crossing one boundary that they're all the same. Pomni is afraid of being forgotten. Ragatha can't bear that everybody might hate her. Gangle is scared that she'll never be accepted or fit in. Zubul is unable to find any comfort in her body. Kinga's past mistakes haunt him, and Jax could never let people see his vulnerabilities. They're all damaged. That's part of being human. And it was part of Caine too. Caine believed that he wasn't enough. He just wanted them to value him, to love him. But he never knew how to make them love him. He did bad things, but from a good heart. He just didn't know how to use it. I don't know what awaits us in the finale. I'd love for them to come together and conjure Caine back into existence, using the things that they do love about him. To dig deep and think about it from his perspective. It's not natural, it's intentional. But maybe Caine isn't coming back. And if he isn't, then maybe that's the point. A reminder to us all to cherish the people around you. You never know when they might be gone.